parents are very strict. Where are you going with those skates? Wear your helmet. Are you doing that too? Are you jumping on those banisters?
Recordings in progress. Should we start with what the cave crew is and why we want to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, your video's just gone, Joss. I know it's back.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had an idea to do like a series of interviews on people through New Zealand and the New Zealand skate scene. And I guess anyone could have done this, right? Like, yeah, but the difference for me was that, like you can sit around in Ben's garage, or you can sit at Scott's house or somewhere and talk to people and have a discussion about it, but you might not really like put it under the lens, like you might if you talk to someone in an interview sort of setting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You
might just end up, yeah.
You might share a bit more than you might normally have.
Yeah. It's a bit more focused. And, if you sit in Ben's garage, you just end up pulling bongs and doing nothing. So
smoking cones and listening to music.
Probably, yeah. And if you go to Scott's, you probably just end up, anything. Sneaking into his bathroom, maybe.
Pretty much, or drinking Barbarian and filling his garage full of empty cans.
Yeah. So, I thought it would be good to talk to some people. We've got a list that we started, but I just realized that we kind of made the mistake of assuming that everyone's going to be able to have access to Zoom, or some kind of way to talk to us. But we did actually talk about maybe going to see some people face to face, right?
Yeah, I think
whether or not it happened.
I think there's some pretty key people we could probably go to see and do it face to face.
Yeah, and some of them might be easier that way. But
I guess anyway, our focus is going to be on New Zealand rollerbladers that we either know or don't know, to get up stories from the New Zealand scene, which has a long history, I guess, in rollerblading, but it also has quite an underground history in rollerblading because it's not widely known. You only know Brooke or Scott or Tash or even Danny over the years, but there's heaps of other cats that have, done well over time and just never had any exposure.
Yeah, and I suppose it goes back further than you or me too, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Like, it goes back quite a long way.
Yeah.
Even like, I guess Brooke comes to mind when it's like the really early stuff, but even before then, there's probably stuff that Scott knows that we don't.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be good to.
But I guess the reason that we wanted to do it was just to talk about what we know and what other people have experienced. Yeah.
I think it's a good summary.
Yeah. And so most people know you. Most people that will watch this will know you. And you. So as far as I know, you started in around like 92, 93, 94.
Yeah, 90. In September of 93.
You know the month.
Yeah. Well, it was my brother's birthday on the 7th of September, and he got some rollerblades, and I was trying to ask my parents for them for months and months and months, and he got them some first. So I stole his as often as I could.
So Rory was into it before you.
Yeah. Well, we were both into it. My cousin came over from Australia, from Canberra, and he was a rollerblader in Australia.
Yeah.
And he came over with a set, and we'd never seen them. And we were just so excited by what those were, because we'd gone to Skate World and stuff, and they had a couple of ramps, and we used to jump off ramps on roller skates, but they were really clunky and slow.
Yeah. And and I met you maybe in 94.
Yeah, I remember breaking my ankle at the Raglan ramp at end of 94, just before the Nationals, which is the Nationals when Brooke came over, or Brooke was here, Arlo was over, and they had a real big like team Senate presence. and it was when Senate, I think it's 94, it was when they first came out. And I remember meeting you then. I was walking around on my crutches. I did a backflip at Raglan and came down on my foot on top of the coping, and basically one foot came down on the other ankle and broke it 5 places, and I had to crawl about 5 k's back to the place where my parents were staying because no one had phones. Anyway, it's a story. But and then meeting you, you're wearing I can't remember if it was Metallica or Megadeth shirt or some sort of metal shirt with your beanie on, holding your skateboard, standing next to the mini spine ramp.
Yeah, so we both were part of the Hamilton, I guess, I guess the roller force scene, the Hamilton scene for a while, to begin with, really, because that's where I sort of was skateboarding for a while, and then I ended up getting a pair of rollerblades, meeting you, etc., etc. But I didn't want to talk too much about us today, because we'll probably end up doing one of these sessions ourselves.
Yeah, cool.
So there's lots to talk about there. But that's sort of why we're doing it, I guess. Like most people know you. I guess a lot of people probably know me. I don't really rollerblade anymore. I haven't for a long time. Tend to skateboard a bit now. It's because of my kids.
Yeah.
But you've always sort of stuck with it, really, to some degree, eh?
Well, because I'm a geek, and I was really into it and overanalyzed it and couldn't think of anything else to do. I obviously always enjoyed it. It's always been a passion. And it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I said to my kids the other day, like, and maybe I shouldn't have said this, but sort of like, if you want to do a sport, maybe you should try and choose one thing and stick with it, because I always sort of regretted jumping back and forth. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think if I had just stuck with it, might have been a bit more productive, or I might even still be doing it now. But
I think you were still skating for, like, when you think about your genesis of skating, when you first started, you were kind of all in till your early adult years. You didn't really skateboard because you'd often drift between the two, but that wasn't till later years. When probably you were like mid-20s maybe, or early 20s. Yeah,
maybe, yeah. I sort of closed the book on skateboarding for good for a while, and then picked it back up again afterwards. But anyway, that's cool. So I guess we've sort of covered why we want to do it and who we are. I'm just looking at some notes I had.
Cool.
We've made a list of people. We've made a list of potential people that we want to try and talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So we've kind of got to start working through that after this video.
Yeah, it's kind of a list of some names of people that have either been around for a long time and know a lot about the history of New Zealand rollerblading, or it's some guys that are probably slightly newer school that kind of bridge the gap between our generation and the current generation. And it'd be good for some rollerbladers around the country to get heard from different pockets of the country that have, I guess, a different level of experience in what we do. Because
and I think if we did, get to everyone on the list, it's a pretty good sort of spectrum of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we get to them all. So and I guess it's going to depend. The success of it is kind of going to depend on people's. Well, first of all, their ability to actually talk to us on a computer or something, and then their ability to open up and talk about stuff.
And
I think most people will be happy to share.
I think so too. And look, New Zealand's a small scene, so it's never going to be something that lights the world on fire, but it's something that we're both passionate about, and we just want to do for ourselves and for our community, I guess, of skaters.
Like, I guess when you think about interview programs that happen overseas, they've got a massive, huge population of skaters, and there's a lot of stuff that's gone on. There's a lot of pros. There's a lot of people that skate. There's a lot of heaps to talk about. So it's not. I don't think it's like we're not trying to so much. We're not gunning to emulate something like that so much. But like you said, I think it's going to be cool just to talk about some of the things that have happened and to talk to some of the people that were involved, because it's actually pretty interesting in itself.
Yeah.
Like I think about the different people that are involved, that have been involved and are still involved in the New Zealand rollerblading scene, and it's almost like everyone is kind of a personality in their own right. But there's some pretty interesting people.
Yeah, for those people that are stuck around, it's certainly kind of, I guess, the cream of the crop of personality and also skill.
Yeah, everyone's got a little quirk or a like a talent, or everyone was just really quite interesting, I thought.
Yeah.
When you compare it to like thousands of generic skateboard kids out there, maybe it's just because we know all the people personally, or know a lot of people personally, and we've had experiences with them. But I think it should be quite interesting.
I agree.
Yeah. So what else do we need to talk about?
Should we talk about why we've referenced it as the Cave Crew?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because you kind of chose that name.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a name. I didn't.
Oh, you're frozen, Josh.
How's that?
Frozen. Yeah, you froze.
Okay, hang on.
Dealing with torrential weather up there and on the coast of Whitianga.
Yeah. Is that back?
Yep, it's back.
Okay. All right. We're back in business. Yeah, what was I saying?
We're talking about the Cave Crew.
Yeah. So I just had an idea we should do something like this, and you kind of threw the name in there.
Yeah, and I guess if referencing the cave was a place that Ben Horgan and Jo Horgan lived around the corner from Cheapskates Kaipa Pass in Simon Street. Cheapskates Kaipa Pass was a lot of our shop sponsors growing up. Even living in Hamilton, that was still my shop sponsor, was in Auckland. Sorry, as this random light shines in my eyes. And I guess we would spend a lot of time hanging out there, and probably even more time hanging out in Ben and Jo's. And that was the first place, because Ben was the first person to ever live away from home, and he had this cool as apartment in the city, and our kind of formative years growing up in sort of late teens, early 20s was going to stay at Ben and Jo's house, crashing on the couch or on the floor or sleeping next to the toilet, and skating the city for the night, bombing down Simon Street, and hitting every spot on the way through.
Just hitting things in general, yeah.
Like, it didn't matter how cool the spot was or whether it was even a spot, we'd still just hit it anyway.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we'd also met Isaac, remember?
Yeah, well, Cheapskates Kaipa Pass was it was kind of a local meeting place for the Auckland kids, and then it was like straight down to Aotea Square. That's what I remember being the first thing that we saw in Auckland. So that's kind of how we ended up there, and spending a lot of time at Ben and Jo's house. Well, thanks mostly to Jo, by the way.
Yeah, for letting us stay.
Just putting up with it in general. Yeah, there was a high level of tolerance for some of the stuff that went on there, I think.
Oh, shit. It was a very cool time for rollerblading, and a very cool time for us, I guess, to have that kind of place to stay and place to grow up. We used to watch so many bootleg rollerblading videos at their place, or even watch the first Matrix movie on a bootleg VHS. And I still remember, I don't know if I should tell the story. Do you want to tell the story about you on the couch?
Oh, not particularly. No.
It's not bad.
People know that.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it involved having certain disposable products thrown at me from the mezzanine floor. But anyway, there was lots of stuff like that happened there. Yeah. There were fights, there were injuries, there were huge arguments. I
think I was at the center of a whole bunch of those.
Yeah. That's fair to say. Yeah. But everyone sort of came out of it unscathed and better off. And yeah, like you say, it was a really good place to have a base. Because I remember for a while, me and Scotty would just show up there every Friday night without fail, without an invite, without any kind of notice, and just expect that we would stay there for 2-3 nights. So it was great. It was great for that. So thanks, Ben. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you. Do you remember do you remember our first trip to Cheapskate's Cover Pass coming from Hamilton?
No, but did it involve my dad somehow?
Yeah. It was you, me, and Tim, and maybe Jamie Ward actually, and we jumped in the back of the car in your dad's Hyundai something, the white one.
He probably, I don't know. I think he had a station wagon at that point, which we always jam into.
And he drove us to Auckland, and it was raining by the time we got there, and he dropped us off at Cover Pass. And I think we just sat in Cheapskates for 5 hours because it was raining, and had Mentos and just had no real cash. Mentos and chips and watch rollerblading videos for 5 hours.
Yeah. Again, they're pretty tolerant of us in there.
Yeah, and Shiloh just let us sit there and absorb it all.
Right, yeah, because it was Shiloh was working there at that point. Ben wasn't there, was he?
Nah, Shiloh came first.
Yeah.
And Ben came second. I can't remember what year Ben turned up working there. But Shiloh was kind of instrumental in a whole lot of us getting sponsored and stuff too back in the day.
Yeah. So I guess that you chose that name because I guess it was like you say, it was where a lot of stuff started.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah, it was where, I guess it sounds cliche to say, but it's where a lot of our long-term friendships were created as well.
Yeah, I sort of wonder, and I don't mean it like I don't want to sound like egotistical or anything, but sometimes I wonder what would have happened if things like that scene hadn't started.
Yeah.
Or the same could be said about the Napier scene, which has sort of been a big driving force behind a lot of stuff that happened. So there's lots of components. There's a lot of different components, I guess, that made up the whole New Zealand scene as a whole. But if you take any one out of it, it might not have been so vibrant or such a good collection of people, I guess. So the Cave Crew is only really one part of it. We're not trying to say that that's New Zealand rollerblading, because it isn't at all.
It's just our experience.
Yeah. And what else are we going to call it, right? Like, we could have called it bread on butter, something stupid. But I think it's a good choice of title. So we're going to have to, we just wanted to do this video as sort of an explanation, I suppose, like an introduction. We're probably going to go away and try and get hold of some people, I suppose, aren't we?
Yep. We've already kind of shoulder tapped a couple of people to get them to come on and talk some shit with us. And I think you said it kind of at the top of, I guess, if this is called an episode, that we are very amateur hour, and we're just doing this from a caravan at the top of Whitianga or in the spare room at my house. But we're giving it a go.
At least you've got a plant in the background. I've just got caravan windows. But yeah, it is what it is. Like, should be good. And the scenery might change too. Like I'm hoping that we can go somewhere and do it. Like, it'd be nice to go see Ben. It'd be nice to go see Sloppy. Yeah. But life happens as well, Like, I've snuck out of the house with my kids my kids for an hour. So I'm sure you've got a busy house as well.
Yeah, no, definitely do.
But yeah, and we've actually made a list of people and the order that we want to do it in, because I think that's going to be important too, right?
Yeah, I guess it's trying to not just stick down a particular type of rollerblader from a particular era, to try to mix it up and have people from all over, just to kind of get fresh perspectives and fresh stories.
Yeah, keep it interesting. And I guess most people know how to get in touch with you or me or us. So I guess we're open to suggestions too, aren't we? You know?
Yeah, definitely open to any questions you want to ask someone, or even if we chuck up who our next guest is going to be and you want to flick us some questions you want to ask, or you want to recall a particular memory or story, provided it's relatively PG, more than happy to share it.
That could be tough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's a pretty good, covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. Well, we've almost chatted for half an hour.
Yeah. The questions that we've got for the people that we're going to talk to, I guess, might take a bit longer than that. Just have to see how it goes. And you've thought about how we're going to format it, or how we're going to get it to people, maybe?
Yeah, I've got a plan. We can chat. I'll pause this recording. Hold on. Oh shit! No, stop video. No, I'm learning.
Okay.
So I've just got you on Zoom with me and Joss.
Okay. How do I do that? Doesn't that need the internet? I'm confused.
Oh, you're not on Zoom yet. Me and Joss are on Zoom, and we wanted to ask you if you wanted to be our first guest on the Cave Crew podcast.
Yeah, sweet. I suppose.
Sweet.
Well, it was either you or there was one other kind of person we had in mind, but yeah, we thought we'd ask you first.
Should pick someone like good and accomplished, like Pat or maybe Blade Spears. I think Pat McIver or Blade Spears. I'd say if you can get them, I'm probably cheaper, but yeah.
Well, we were just hoping you were free.
Yeah, sweet as, man.
And
I haven't got any other podcast commitments at the moment.
Oh,
so.
that's good. I'm glad your podcast schedule is free.
Yes.
Okay, but wait on. Where are you now, Ben?
He's smoking a cone.
I think that's question answered.
You're coughing a bit too much, old boy.
Well, I just did a beast mode one, because where am I ever, Joss?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and you're in a moon boot, right?
I'm in a small, partially enclosed area not suitable for permanent living, surrounded by cats and cannabis. It's pretty sweet.
Have you got one of these on?
Everywhere.
Are you wearing one of these? It's a large knee brace.
Oh, I'm familiar with those.
What is it? A large what?
A large knee brace?
Well, similar sort of situation. It's a medium-sized foot and lower leg brace.
Right. Okay.
Well, I could, if it makes it more official. I think I've still got my knee brace. I could probably go and put it on.
Chuck it on your other knee.
We might get you to wear just that if we're going to video you.
Full screen, just that.
Yeah, just it. I'll have the foot brace and the knee brace, and maybe like I'll cut an old Senate logo off a t-shirt and dangle it above my nether regions.
Yeah. You've got Senate socks, just wear those.
I don't think I have any, because all the Senate socks I had were original, like 97, 98 socks, so they dissolved.
Oh, yuck.
They were the proper two stripes too, the like knee high, so you could be like Arla and they'd be underneath your massive Origin shorts.
Mustard Origins?
Yeah.
No, I just had black ones, but they were 36-inch leg openings and 36-inch waists.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much just two tubes joined with a dick release, like a zipper in the middle.
New Zealand didn't have Jinkos, we had Origin shorts.
There were Jinkos and cross collars here if you like knew the right people. But it was, mustard Origin, striped Mossimo shirt, Mr. Stussy bucket hat.
All the stuff that's in fashion right now.
I never even had.
That's actually a really good point. That's actually a really good point. We didn't even consider talking about fashion. I hate to say that word. Like
you have no idea how heavily I'm going to derail this idea within about 4 sentences. So I hope you don't mind editing for concise. Like otherwise, it's just going to be ramblings. But,
No, we're going to try and do the minimal amount of editing. So
yeah,
I hope anyway.
That's raw as
okay. Well, that's basically a yes from you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll weigh you up against the other guy, and we'll make a decision.
See who's more important.
Way more people will listen to Bentley talk, hands down. Like it's not even a contest.
Bentley's
he's
kind of
not the other guy. He's way down the list, bro. He's way down the list.
Probably fucking Aaron Taylor though, man. Whoa, that'd be intense. Aaron Taylor, there has to be a Pat MacGyver episode straight up. Like I don't care what people think, man. Like he's never done anything to me. And like he didn't know
is that the gauge, is it? Whether they've done something to you.
Straight up. I mean, it's me. Like I'm not going to say anything people wouldn't expect me to say. I just might say things that people would expect me not to say in front of everyone listening.
All right, there's a heap more of that to come in a later episode of the Cave Crew podcast when we actually formally interview Benjamin Horgan.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben.
Don't listen to me, I'm a myth.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Sweet, man. Anti-rockers and bong hits for life.
Yeah, sweet. Later, Bolt.
Later.
Well, that was easy.
There's our confirmed first guest.
Things to look forward to.
Yep. And I don't have COVID. I've just got a cold.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's going to be that'll be interesting.
It will be a good episode. There's a lot of history in that man right there, from his humble beginnings in Taupo to, moving up to Auckland and basically importing all the freshest rollerblading product he could get his hands on for all of us to buy, and then commentating contests and contest wins himself. There's a long history, which will be cool to hear.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, right. Good.
Cool.
So that's basically us for our for whatever this is.
Yep. Episode introduction episode.
Is it sort of like episode 1, really? I guess.
Yep. Our test.
Yeah. We're not going to say anything about who's next or who's down the line because we're still surprised that this actually is happening right now. So.
Yep. That we've figured out technology enough to make it work.
Yeah, it took 10 minutes to actually get the Zoom call to work. But by the time we get around to doing Ben, hopefully we can do it sooner rather than later. And if that works, then I guess we'll be away.
Yep, on to the next one.
Cool. Okay. Well,
all right.
We're signing off.
Yep, I'm going to stop recording and then chat to you for a second.
Okay. See you guys.
See you, people.
Bye.
Bye.
Parents are very strict. Where are you going with those skates? Wear your helmet. Are you doing that too? Are you jumping on those banisters?